He saw the message. It wasn't dramatic. No warning signs, no urgency in the words, just a sentence. Simple, quiet. He stared at the screen a little longer than usual, not because he was confused, but because something about it felt unfinished. He noticed a slight hesitation, that brief pause before action, the moment where you feel something matters but can't explain why. He told himself he would answer later, after the meeting, after the day settled down, when his mind felt clearer. He placed the phone face down, not as a decision, not as a rejection, just as a habit. At the time, it felt harmless, almost forgettable. His life wasn't falling apart. It was stable, predictable, organized enough to feel safe. He had a steady job, a routine that rarely changed, mornings that followed the same pattern almost automatically. Coffee, traffic, emails, meetings. Days passed without friction, without surprises, without moments that demanded attention. And that was the problem. Nothing felt urgent. Nothing felt worth interrupting the flow. When everything feels controlled, small signals become easy to ignore. He wasn't avoiding a choice. He didn't feel afraid. He simply felt comfortable. And comfort has a quiet way of convincing you that tomorrow will always be available. The message arrived quietly. No alarm, no dramatic sound, just a vibration on his phone. It came late in the afternoon from a number he didn't recognize. "We need to talk. It's important." He read it once, then again. Nothing about it felt urgent enough to disrupt his day. There was a meeting in 5 minutes, deadlines waiting, emails already piling up. He told himself he'd answer later, not because it didn't matter, but because it didn't demand him yet. So he placed the phone face down and returned to what felt necessary. That was the moment. Not a big decision, just a small delay. The brain doesn't look for growth, it looks for safety. Every time we face a moment that requires a decision, the mind quickly evaluates one thing above all others. How uncomfortable will this feel right now? Responding would require attention, emotional energy, the possibility of saying the wrong thing. So the brain offers an alternative: delay. Not because it's better, but because it's easier. Postponing reduces tension. It creates temporary relief, a sense of control, especially for thoughtful people. People who think ahead, who imagine consequences, who want to avoid mistakes. Over time, this habit becomes automatic. Not choosing feels neutral, safe, responsible even. But the mind rarely asks what delaying costs over time. It only cares that in this moment, nothing feels threatened. The days continued. Nothing broke. Nothing demanded attention. Life stayed exactly the same. And that's what made it easy to forget. The message slowly disappeared behind newer notifications, newer tasks, newer distractions. No mistake was made, no confrontation happened, but something was quietly lost. Not all costs are immediate. Some only appear later, when the moment to act has passed. Opportunities don't always announce when they leave. They don't slam doors. They simply stop waiting. And most people never notice what changed. They just feel that something feels unfinished. Most lives don't change because of one dramatic decision. They change because of small moments that repeat quietly over time. Moments that feel too minor to confront, too uncomfortable to face, too easy to postpone. Think about your own week. How many choices did you delay not because you couldn't act, but because waiting felt easier? How many things did you label as not urgent when they were simply inconvenient? The most powerful patterns in life aren't created by bold action. They're created by what we avoid when no one is watching. Some decisions announce themselves loudly. They arrive with pressure, with urgency, with consequences that are impossible to ignore. But most decisions don't look like that. Most of them arrive quietly, so quietly that they barely feel like decisions at all. They show up as moments you could respond to later, as conversations you postpone, as thoughts you tell yourself you'll revisit when life slows down. And because nothing breaks immediately, it feels safe to wait. Days pass without consequence. Weeks move forward unnoticed. Life continues exactly as it was. Until one day, something feels different. Not broken, not dramatic, just incomplete. You realize that certain paths quietly closed, not because you chose another one, but because you never stepped forward. Time doesn't respond to intentions, it only responds to action. It keeps moving, whether you're ready or not. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your life begins to reflect not the choices you made deliberately, but the moments you avoided when they felt inconvenient. Some opportunities don't come back, not because they were taken away, but because they were never answered. And sometimes the smallest decision you delay today ends up shaping tomorrow without ever asking your permission.